Is buying a home on your to-do list? If so, you're going to want to stay tuned to learn everything that you're going to need to know step by step from the time that the thought enters your mind until the time that we hand you the keys. I'm Lisa Chinati with the Chinati Realty Group, and often I get the opportunity to sit with buyers, much like yourself, and ponder what's it like as we start down the journey of buying a home. So one of the first questions that buyers often ask me is, what do I do first? And there's two different paths that buyers can choose to take. The first is, probably half of the buyers out there will elect to find their real estate professional first, and the other half are going to elect to find their lender first and understand the financial component of it. Is there a preference either way? Not necessarily. When you connect with a great, reputable real estate agent, they're going to be able to connect you with other licensed financial professionals who can help you navigate the pre-approval process. But there's certainly no problem with reaching out to somebody that you know, like, and trust to start that pre-approval process ahead of time. Now, let's assume you meet with the real estate agent first and you go through the process of selecting that agent. One of the things that I always tell buyers is that real estate agents are like shoes. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. And it's going to be really important for you to feel comfortable having open and honest conversations with the agent that you choose to partner with through the home buying process. You're going to spend a lot of time chatting with that agent about personal financial information, sharing likes and dislikes, and being able to have really open, honest conversations about the pros and cons of homes and having them understand really what your long-term outcomes are that you're looking for. For some buyers, it's truly understanding the financial component of the investment, while for other buyers, the emotional connection to a home that they're going to raise their family in is the number one priority. So feeling like you are aligned with the agent that you select is absolutely step number one. When you're interviewing the agent that you select to work with, you should definitely be asking about their local market expertise in the markets that you're looking in. But I'd also ask them about their experience working with buyers who've started their search in a particular community and where that search may have taken them. One thing that we often find is that a buyer might think that they want to buy a home in middle of Massachusetts, or insert whatever town that you will, and by the time they actually end up buying their home, they're buying 5, 10, 15, maybe even 30 minutes away from where that search originally started, and you don't want to end up switching agents halfway through the process. One of the other things that might come into play is if you're looking in one of those border towns, whether it's a town that's near the border of New Hampshire or a town that's near the border of Connecticut, understanding if your agent is dual licensed is just as important. So that interview is going to be step one. You're going to get to know a little bit about each other, how you both like to work, what communication styles work best, whether it's phone calls, texts, emails, or insert any other communication style. Your agent's also in that process is what we call a buyer discovery or a buyer consult. During this meeting, your agent's going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about your personal preferences. They may ask you the number of bedrooms that you're looking for, the number of bathrooms, the square footage of the home, whether you want to be in a neighborhood or if you don't mind a busy road, if you're looking for a condo, a single family, or a multi-family. This is the opportunity for you and your agent to get on the same page about what you're looking for and how your agent's going to be able to help guide your search, suggest properties that you may not even be thinking of, or start a search outside of the multiple listing service for you. Actively prospecting for sellers who own homes similar to what you're looking for who might not yet be on the market. If you didn't start on the financial component of things, this is where you would then start to kind of work with a lender, understanding that the pre-approval process can be pretty quick if you've got all of your ducks in a row. Your lender's going to want to check your credit score because obviously your credit score is going to determine the different programs that are available to you, but it's also going to help dictate the type of mortgage rate that you're going to qualify for. Your pay stubs and your income tax returns are also going to be crucial pieces of paperwork that will help expedite the pre-approval process. After your lender's had a chance to process all of that paperwork, he's going to send you what's called either a mortgage pre-approval or a mortgage pre-qualification. Most people don't understand the true differences between the words, and we kind of use them interchangeably within the industry. The end result is that paper is telling you approximately how much you're pre-qualified for at current interest rates. Now, when interest rates are as volatile as they've been throughout 2023, it's really important to understand that a 0.5% change in the interest rate can definitely impact how much you're able to afford. Obviously, as rates go up, your buying power may go down. As rates go down, your buying power may go up. Once the pre-approval is in place, that's going to help you and your agent work together to understand the price ranges of the properties that you're going to be able to look for. The funnest part of the process is when you actually get out to go start seeing homes in person. I always tell buyers and sellers it's an interesting journey as you're going to be walking through a door, and what you'll discover is that your gut's going to have a pretty strong reaction to each home. When you step inside, you're probably going to know within the first 30 to 90 seconds whether this is a home that you're actually going to consider moving forward with. Now, I often tell buyers, even if it's not your dream home, there's value in walking through that home. It's going to help you get the market knowledge that you need even as a consumer, so that as you navigate the process and you see more homes, you're going to begin to understand why this home sold for, say, $500,000, but the home next door sold for $550,000. It's going to help you put things into perspective. And as those properties close, you'll be able to say, would I have been willing to pay that, or would I have been willing to pay that? It's also important because it's going to help you start to understand the other little things that you might not even have thought of. Do you really need or want an island in the kitchen? Sometimes a buyer says to us, I must absolutely have a 2,000 square foot colonial, but all of a sudden they walk into a 1,700 square foot ranch and they find that they actually really like the floor plan and that it feels larger and more spacious than the 2,000 square foot colonial that they viewed the day prior. And so touring those homes and experiencing those differences and really sussing out the things that are must-haves, deal breakers, the nice-to-haves, and those things that you're indifferent about is absolutely part of the process. Once you've found the home of your dreams, the one that you're ready to write an offer on, that's where you and your agent are going to work quite closely together to start to draft what's called the offer to purchase. That offer to purchase is going to be the first contract that enters into the process. This contract is going to spell out both parties, you as the buyer and the seller's information. It's going to give us the property address and the MLS number. It's also going to talk about exactly what you're willing to offer to pay for that particular property. Below that in the offer to purchase, you'll find that in the state of Massachusetts, there's 2 deposits that are going to be due. The first one is anywhere from $500 to $1,000, and that's due at the time that your offer is accepted. After your offer is accepted, you'll typically get somewhere between 5 to 10 days to complete your home inspection. This is where you're going to be able to have professionals come in to inspect the health, safety, and structure of the property that you're buying. While it's a great opportunity for you to see the home again, remember that it's not an opportunity to negotiate on small cosmetic defects or the things that when the home was built in, say, 1990 were in code that have now changed in 2023, but it is an opportunity to address things that might be unknown defects that we couldn't see while viewing the property. After the home inspection, again, you'll have the opportunity to go back and renegotiate either the price or terms. So the price, we could be getting a price reduction, or we could be getting a closing cost credit that allows you to do the repair post-closing, or if we're negotiating the terms, it's asking the seller to complete a repair with a licensed professional prior to the closing. Once all of those items are agreed upon, we're going to move on to what's called the purchase and sale. In Massachusetts, that's the much longer, much more detailed contract that takes over in place of the offer to purchase. That purchase and sale is going to spell out all of the terms, those that are going to be contained in the offer and the other ones that the lawyers work on together. More about that to come. After the purchase and sale is signed, which is usually anywhere from 7 to 10 days after that offer is accepted, that's when your next deposit is going to be due. You can expect that second deposit plus that initial $500 to $1,000 to equal 3% to 5% of your total purchase price. Now, it's important to understand that those money, while held in escrow, are going to be credited to you at the closing as part of either your down payment or your closing costs. That money is not released to the sellers. It is not released to any of the agents or the brokerages. It is held aside. Your agent's job is to protect that deposit through all of the contingencies until you get to the closing table. The last contingency that you'll find in a standard offer to purchase is what's called your financing contingency. This is where you're going to work with your lender and your agent to spell out exactly how much of a loan you need and the terms that might be involved with that loan. This is where we're going to understand what's called a commitment date. The commitment date is the final contingency in the offer. And it's the date at which the lender tells us we've reviewed all of the financial paperwork and we are prepared to fund this loan. That's the last hurdle. In addition, within the offer to purchase, you're going to find that there's a blank space where we can write some additional terms. Once again, this is where you and your agent are going to work together closely. Common additional terms would be the inclusion of things like appliances or window treatments. There might be an appraisal contingency. There could be a home sale contingency if you're looking to sell your existing home in order to complete the new purchase. Or we may write in that the whole purchase is subject to the seller agreeing to pay a portion of your closing costs. That offer to purchase can typically be signed electronically or in ink, and it is what gets transferred over to the listing agent, along with a couple of other documents. With that, you might find things like lead paints disclosures, seller's disclosures, and some other random disclosures that might pop up depending upon the situation at hand. Once the two agents and you and the seller negotiate back and forth and come up with a final accepted offer, we may either initial the current offer or draft a whole new copy. Could go either way. We kind of talked about the inspections, and then we've kind of talked about the purchase and sale, but going a little bit deeper into the purchase and sale, this is where legal professionals in the state of Massachusetts get to do what they're the best at. Each attorney will take a boilerplate purchase and sale and add a rider to it. The buyer's attorney's job is to create a rider that provides additional protections for you as the buyer. Seller's attorney is going to do the same thing. And at the end of the day, the biggest thing to remember is that the purchase and sale is stipulating that you as the buyer and she or he as the seller both agree that we're going to get to the closing table with this transaction. It's going to spell out prices, dates, deposits, and any other applicable terms. Now, once the purchase and sale is signed, this is what we call the hurry up and wait phase. It's mostly going to be behind the scenes stuff that's going on. Behind the scenes, you as the buyer will be working with your lender to complete all of the financing application and all of the documents that are going to be required in order to get that loan approved. The lender will order what's called an appraisal, which is an independent third party who goes out and assesses the comparable sales to determine the appraised value of the property that you're purchasing. Very important to remember that appraised value is not the assessed value. An appraised value doesn't necessarily always equal market value. If you're ever curious about that, you can certainly drop a comment below and we'll be happy to go deeper into the difference between appraised values and assessed values and market values, which can get a little bit complicated and confusing. But so that appraisal will happen and your agent will be keeping in touch with you to kind of tell you step by step what's going on behind the scenes. Also, behind the scenes, while you're in that hurry up and wait period, some of the other things that you're going to be doing are securing your homeowner's insurance and getting your insurance binder ready to go. You'll be reaching out to all of your utility providers to transfer over the utilities to your name. Things like gas and electric, trash pickup service, it could be your internet. Any of those services that you'll want to have transferred, you'll be working on scheduling the dates while you're in that hurry up and wait phase. The seller will be having a smoke certification done, which is where the fire department comes in and ensures that the smoke detectors and the carbon monoxide detectors in your new home meet all of the current guidelines. The seller will be gathering all of the required documents, whether it's the 6D from a condo association, which spells out that all of the condo fees are paid and current, or getting final readings of water bills and sewer bills so that when you take on ownership of the property, it's a blank slate just for you. Once you get your final commitment in, we'll move forward from there. About 24 hours prior to the closing, you and your agent get the opportunity to revisit the property and ensure that once the sellers have moved out, everything is in the exact condition that you expect it to be in. It's probably one of the most exciting times that there is when you get to start really envisioning your furniture and your artwork in the space that you've been picturing all along. That night, you'll also want to go get your certified bank check if you're going to be paying with check, or initiate the wire transfer with the remaining funds that get over to the closing table. On the day of a closing, you'll arrive at the location and you'll meet with the closing attorney who's going to walk you through the stack of paperwork that you'll need to sign. You'll be signing your new deed, you'll be signing your actual mortgage, you'll probably set up a homestead declaration which protects the investment that you've just made, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, one of the final questions that people often ask is, when do I get the keys? And the answer is simple. In the state of Massachusetts, we are able to hand you the keys once the deed is recorded at the Registry of Deeds. Most offices will record remotely, which means that we'll get the final confirmation anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes after you've signed the paperwork. But I assure you that's one of the happiest times for all of us. So that's been a pretty in-depth walkthrough of the home buying process here in Massachusetts. If I didn't answer any questions or you still have some lingering, drop them in the comments below. Or if you're ready to get started and want to connect with either myself or a member of the team, click on the Calendly link located on our homepage.